Imagine, if you will, a society where work as we know it has evolved far beyond the conventional norms we once held. What would that look like? Well, let's delve into this fascinating topic. In the not-so-distant past, work was a place, a physical location where we'd clock in, complete our tasks, and clock out. Then came the technological revolution, transforming work from a place to a process, a series of tasks that could be completed from anywhere, at any time. Let's turn the pages of history back to the early 20th century. The Industrial Revolution had just come to a close, and work was predominantly manual labor, performed in factories, mills, and farms. But as the century progressed, the advent of computers and the internet changed everything. Work started to become less about physical labor and more about intellectual capacity. Fast forward to the 21st century, the digital era ushered in a new way of working. Remote work and flexible hours became the norm, and the concept of a traditional 9-to-5 job started to fade. Companies began to value output over hours, and employees started to value flexibility over rigid schedules. But this evolution didn't stop there. As we entered the era of artificial intelligence and automation, the nature of work changed even more dramatically. Robots started to perform routine tasks, freeing up humans to focus on more complex and creative tasks. Now, as we stare into the future, we see a new paradigm emerging. Work is becoming less about what we do and more about the problems we solve and the value we create. It's less about clocking in and out and more about making a meaningful impact. In conclusion, the evolution of work has been a series of interconnected stories, from the manual labor of the Industrial Revolution to the intellectual work of the digital era to the problem-solving work of the future. The future of work is about flexibility, creativity, and impact. It's about using technology to our advantage rather than fearing it. So, as we look to the future, we should embrace the evolution of work, for it holds the promise of a more productive, more creative, and more fulfilling society. The key points to remember are that work is evolving from a place to a process, from manual labor to intellectual work, from a rigid schedule to flexible hours, and from doing tasks to solving problems. Let us not fear the future, but rather, let's embrace it, for it holds the promise of a more productive, more creative, and more fulfilling society. As we continue to evolve, let's remember that the future of work is not something to fear, but something to look forward to.